All right, my name is Julie Huber, and right now we are in the den of our transition home with Heza House.
And I'm Ron Huber, and the HESA housing is located at 1707 Edgewood Drive in Anderson, South Carolina. We were the part of the original seven that started Hope Missions. And through Hope Missions, of course, we met Dave and Kim and Honey and Doug and the rest of the folks. And as time went on, Kim purchased a house and she called it a transition house, which I was not familiar with. So she explained it to me and it kind of set the bug in us, and it grew. And at the time we purchased this house, we were talking about a lake house. We were gonna buy a lake house, and so we'd have a little second house to go stay at the lake, and then this thought of the transition house started working on her pretty good. So what it amounted to was, when the time came, we had a young lady, a realtor. She found us this house, and when the time came, we had to make a decision. So I asked her, "Do you want a lake house or do you want a transition house?" And she didn't hesitate. She said a transition house. So I kind of call this house Julie's Lake House. But that's how we got started in the transition housing.
When we started working with Hope Missions of the Upstate, it's an organization that works with the homeless. And we kept seeing all of these barriers of why these folks were on the street. And there were just so few options for them. Because if you apply for housing, you've got to have a job. You've got to show that you've had no evictions. You've got all of these things that you've got to show, that you've had 12 months of income. And most of the population of folks that we were working with had none of that. So we were like, well, what's the main problem with the homeless population? Well, homeless, they have nowhere to live. So the idea was kind of planted there, and so we kept thinking, well, if we can provide them a place to live and then work on those wraparound services, like getting a steady job, making sure they've got a social security card, an ID, all those kinds of things, which was what we started doing at Hope Missions, but with just a smaller group of folks and basically building a family, like a community. There are some criteria for being in I like to call it transformation house, because I feel like that's what's happening with these folks, is they're transforming their own lives. So some of the criteria: first of all, no drugs, no alcohol. They have to consent to drug alcohol testing at any time, because that was one of the barriers that we were seeing with these folks. They have to have a job or some source of income, which we help them to get that if that's something they need to do prior to coming into the house. They have to sign a contract with us. They have to agree to a background check, which the background check, I don't care about their income. And some of the folks that we deal with have felonies and those kinds of things, but we just need to know what we're working with. And there's a whole list of things that we go through with them, and most of the time we have built a relationship with them through working with them at the mission, so we kind of know what that jumping off point is, and what we need to put in as criteria for them. There's general criteria, and then there's personalized criteria, because we work with them to set goals. So if their the initial lease is always 1 month. And during that initial 1 month, what are they going to work on? And so after that 1 month, then we meet with them, we see what happened with those goals, and then they may choose to move on, or we may say this program's not working for you. Or we may say, you've done a great job, you're working toward your goals, or you've met this goal, and then we may increase to 3 months. There's not a day that goes by at Hope Missions that somebody does not say, hey, I'm looking for a place to stay, do you know anything? Which was what planted that seed. And there's so few options in Anderson County. I mean, the wait list was literally like a year. It was insane. And there were so many stipulations. I mean, you've got to have your birth certificate, you've got to have your ID, you've got to have your social security card. These people have been on the street. It's either been lost or stolen 900 times by the time they try to apply for housing. So.
Right now, I feel that we're pretty blessed with the people we have here now.
Mm-hmm.
They follow the program, and we have no problems. And matter of fact, it's like one of the fellas here now. We call him the head dog, or the head guy in charge. Yeah, he'll go out there and he'll cook burgers, and everybody's welcome to eat. A lot of times when one cooks, all eat. If one of them's doing something, all are invited to do what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's giving these people a sense of family, and I guess that's one thing they haven't had for quite some time. And besides not having a roof over their head, but that means a whole lot to them. It really does. I mean, they look at us sometimes. We don't have to move out of here anytime soon, do we? I said, no. You're fine right here, right where you are. But they all get along good. They really do. It just surprised me. Well, they depend on us for a lot of things, and we depend on them. We depend on them to get along with each other, which they do. And
That's what I was going to say.
It just surprised me how well these folks get along together. They probably never met unless they'd met on the street. That's the only place they've ever met.
That's true.
And now they're here living together as like a little small community. If I come over and cut the grass, I'll have one or two of them ask me, hey, you need me to help you cut the grass?
Yes,
Any family, whether you're related or not, is going to have problems. And
No
you just
kidding.
need to work them out now and again, and like I say, I'd say we're blessed with the folks we have here now. I really, really am.
I think everybody living in this house right now is a success story.
Yeah.
Because literally everybody that lives here now has a job, is working towards the goals that they set themselves when they started in the program or when they renewed their lease. We've had some folks to move on and to get other places, get better jobs. So, yeah. Honestly, I say everybody in this house is a success right now because of where they came from.
And we have one individual right now that's going to probably be a whole lot more successful because we've been waiting for a very important document to come in the mail, his birth certificate. As of now, he has no ID, so he cannot really get a 40-hour-a-week job. And holy moly, hopefully we got in touch with him Monday, and hopefully his birth certificate will be here Friday so he can apply for a 40-hour-a-week job like everybody else. And he's been very, very patient, and we've been very, very patient. And, it's going to get there.
It's going to be beautiful.
It's going to be really nice.
It had to be a God thing because when we were working on getting this house ready, the first thing we had to do, we had to have an inspection done. So just word of mouth, we met a guy named Stu Butler who happened to go to New Spring. And we were like, that's crazy. And so Stu came, he did the inspection. He knew another guy who, what did the other guy do? We needed something. It was just like
Everything fell in place.
I call them God winks, because it was like I couldn't have made all that stuff happen. So I felt good about it, even though my lake house is nowhere near the lake and I'm still not living on the lake. I felt good about having like confirmation that that's what God wanted us to do, because everything just started falling in place. I mean, starting with just the realtor that we used, good Christian woman who understood what we were looking for. And when this place became available, she was like, you've got to see it right now, because it had the apartment in the back. It was just perfect. And just so many little things that went into making this happen. From the plumber who came and did the plumbing, who was a recovering alcoholic himself, a recovering drug addict himself.
Yeah.
And so many stories were told when we were having all the work done. One of the guys that helped close in the garage and make the second bedroom, recovering addict. I mean, just so many stories that I heard from the guys that were working around here when we were having everything done. It was just a huge confirmation to me that, yep, this is what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this. This is what God wanted us to do.
If somebody came to me and said, I'm thinking about doing a transition, and this actually happened about 2 months ago at New Spring. A guy came up to me and said, hey, I heard y'all had this house.
Yeah.
And I said two things to him. I said, just do it and be prepared to work, because it's rewarding, but it's also work.